ในช่วงต่อไปนี้ก็อยากจะเชิญทุกท่านชมเป็นวิดีโอนะคะเป็นประวัติของคุณพ่อไมเคิลแลปสลีย์นะคะ Next in our program is a short maybe not short a video clip introducing Father Michael Lapsley please
Michael Lapsley was born in New Zealand on June 2nd, 1949.
I was born and brought up in New Zealand, which is a very small country. My parents, in terms of the developed country, were quite poor. So I remember hard work, lack of money, but not poverty in the sense of ever having comfortable money. Both my parents were loving, committed Christians, so I was brought up very much in a church environment, and since I was a child, was quite a religious child and interested in issues of faith.
His interest
in issues of faith grew into a calling, and at the age of 17, he traveled to Australia to become a priest in the Anglican Church.
At the end of high school, I went to begin my training to be a priest. In some ways, when I look back, it's quite amazing that they actually permitted me at the age of 17 to leave the country, go to another country, and to train to be a priest.
Michael Lapsley joined the Anglican religious community in Australia in 1967. In 1971, he took his vows in the Society of the Sacred Mission. Lapsley was ordained as a priest in 1973. In that same year, the community chose to transfer him to South Africa to enroll in undergraduate studies in the city of Durban. It was in South Africa that Father Michael's life would be changed forever.
Nothing prepared me for South Africa. I had read and read and read, and yet I'd understood nothing as I look back. And I suppose I thought that when I arrived in South Africa, I'd find three groups of people: the oppressed, the oppressor, and if you like, the human race that I would belong to. And I often say that when I arrived in South Africa, I stopped being a human being and I became a white man. Because from the moment of my arrival, every single aspect of my life was decided by the color of my skin.
Fate landed Father Michael in South Africa during the height of the apartheid repression and escalating violence. Far from being an ordinary student, his appointment as chaplain to both white students and black students on 3 campuses gave him a unique perspective.
I wasn't simply living in this white cocoon of white privilege, but I was seeing day by day and relating to people who were at the receiving end of racial oppression. And feeling its wrongness and its injustice.
For Father Michael, this would be a test of faith. What does a man of God do in the face of injustice?
From earliest childhood, had an understanding of Christianity that meant that all human beings were made in God's image and likeness. All human beings had value simply because we're human. My experience from the day I arrived in South Africa was this was the very opposite of Christianity, because here was a society in which all value derived from the color of your skin, not from the commonness of your humanity.
While theological questions of right and wrong, good and evil, swirled in his mind, Father Michael was faced with a very practical question of which side was he on? The oppressed or the oppressor?
In a way, I suppose, from the beginning, I guess I had, in a crude sense, two choices. Beat them or join them. And I guess in my heart of hearts, I decided to beat them. Ever increasingly, my life became committed to ending that system.
Over the next 3 years, Father Michael spoke out against the injustices of apartheid and became active in the anti-apartheid movement. It all came to a head in 1976 when school children began to protest having to learn their lessons in Afrikaans and the fact that the education they were receiving was inferior.
During that period of more than a year, more than 1,000 school children were shot on the streets of South Africa. And then vast numbers were detained, imprisoned, tortured. Shortly after that, I was then expelled from South Africa. I had begun to speak out against the killing of children, but also against the torture and the detention of students and young people. But when I was expelled, there was no formal reason given. And so then, in agreement with my community, I went to live in Lesotho, where my community had also been working for a long time.
After being expelled in September of 1976, Father Michael moved to Lesotho, where he continued his studies and joined the African National Congress. He became one of the chaplains to the ANC in exile.
Philosophically, ideologically, theologically, I was immensely attracted immediately to the ANC. The stumbling block was that I was a committed pacifist, and the ANC, after 15 years of non-violent struggle, had actually opted for arms. But the killing of school children pushed me over the edge, and I began to say, in this context, as a last resort, when all other options, all other avenues are closed, people do have a right to defend themselves. And so, if you like, the last hurdle had been crossed that made it possible for me to join the African National Congress of South Africa.
There are many people who feel that it is useless and futile for us to continue talking peace and non-violence against a government whose reply is only savage attacks on an unarmed and defenseless people.
In 1982, 100 South African commandos raided the city of Maseru, Lesotho, in search of ANC members who were believed to be in hiding. 42 people were killed, including 5 women and 2 children. After the attack, Father Michael moved to Zimbabwe.
As years passed, we became the hunted. By the time I left Lesotho, you never drove a car without looking underneath it to see whether a bomb had been placed there.
It was in Zimbabwe in 1990, 3 months after ANC leader Nelson Mandela's release from prison, that Father Michael was sent a letter bomb by the apartheid regime. It was hidden inside of 2 religious magazines. He lost both hands and sight in one eye in the blast and was seriously burned.
We know that it was part of the machinery of the apartheid state. It wasn't an individual act, but it was part of the machineries of death of the apartheid state that endured beyond 1990.
The act of opening the magazine was the detonating device for a bomb. I can still remember what happened, the actual explosion. It's still something with me. I remember pain of a scale that I didn't think a human being could ever experience. I remember going into darkness, being thrown backwards by the force of the bomb. The exact angle saved my life that I opened it. I opened it on a small coffee table. If I'd opened it in something like this, a table like this, it would have killed me because it would have knocked out the heart or knocked off the head. I've always been clear that the person I hold responsible ultimately for my bombing is F.W. de Klerk. I I suppose I've said that I'm not filled with hatred or bitterness or self-pity, nor that I want revenge. I think what I believe in is not retribution. I believe in restorative justice. If FW was to come to me, or the person who made the bomb was to come to me and said, I'm sorry for what I did, and I want your forgiveness, and this is what I am now doing in the way of reparation, not to me personally, but to our country and our people. These are the kinds of things I'm doing to heal our land. Then of course one would say, of course, yes, forgiveness. There would not be a problem about that.
Father Michael returned to South Africa in 1992. He became the chaplain of the Trauma Center for Victims of Violence and Torture in Cape Town. The center assisted South Africa's Truth and Reconciliation Commission. It was there that he became aware of the tremendous healing power of telling your story.
All South Africans had been damaged by the experience of the apartheid years, no matter what side they were on. Also that all of us had a story to tell. All of us carried stuff inside of us as a consequence of the journey the nation had traveled.
This work led to the founding of the Institute for the Healing of Memory in 1998.
This workshop is a journey. It's a journey that is going to focus not so much on what we think, but on what we feel.
He started giving workshops that enable South Africans of all races to tell their stories of pain and trauma.
Your heroic determination,
your commitment to justice,
it helped me to open up. I think it's there that I managed to say things that I never even told my mother.
I was able to express myself, my story, my feelings, and for the first time somebody was listening.
I cried for all the pain of the apartheid that affected my life. I cried because of all the anger.
I could put my arm on the shoulder of people that I've never been so close to before. And that, for me as a white person, it meant a tremendous lot to me.
Father Michael soon realized that telling these stories in a safe, supportive environment helped to start the process of healing. He believes that the entire human family is burdened with trauma of one kind or another because of what we've done, what was done to us, and what we have failed to do. Therefore, everyone, young and old, rich and poor, could benefit by telling their story. Father Michael now travels throughout Africa, Europe, North America, and the South Pacific, giving healing of memory workshops to help heal the world one story at a time.
At some point in everybody's life, there's some kind of trauma from which they need to heal. But where people have been particularly oppressed, where people have gone through situations of war or oppression, then there is an even greater need for healing to take place. And so human beings everywhere need to find the way of detoxifying, if you like, vomiting out the poison of the things that have happened to them, so that they may indeed integrate into their lives what has happened, but also lead free, fulfilling, and whole lives.
And now let's welcome Father Michael Lapsley of the Institute for Healing of Memories, South Africa, to deliver his talk, A Journey from the Freedom Fighter to Healing. Please, Father Michael Lapsley. ช่วงนี้ก็เราจะได้ฟังจากคุณพ่อไมเคิลแลปสลีย์นะคะในหัวข้อจากนักสู้เพื่อปลดแอกสู่ผู้เยียวยาสังคมค่ะ
Thank you. Before I keep speaking, I would like you to speak to each other.
ก่อนจะพูดให้ท่านพูดกันเองก่อนนะ
Just for a moment, I'd like you to share with the person you're sitting next to you, what did you feel, what did you think when you were watching the film?
ครับอยากให้คุยกับคนข้างๆแชร์กันนะครับว่ารู้สึกนะครับคิดยังไงครับที่ได้ดูเรื่องราวของท่าน
I don't know in Thailand, are you allowed to speak to each other?
คุยกันได้ไหมครับในเมืองไทยบ้านเราจับคู่กับคนข้างๆ
So just for a minute.
สัก1 นาทีนะครับลองจับคู่กับคนข้างๆแล้วก็คุยแชร์กันนะครับ
Thank you. Now can I ask you all to stand up?
ยืนขึ้นหน่อยครับช่วยยืนขึ้นหน่อยครับ
Can you just see if you can touch the ceiling? Thank you. Please sit down.
ครับนั่งลงนะครับ
Now I know that you will stay awake during my lecture.
คือไม่ใช่อะไรไม่อยากให้หลับ
I'd like to begin by honoring this university for the opportunity to be here.
ครับท่านก็รู้สึกเป็นเกียรตินะครับขอบคุณที่ทางมูลที่ได้เชิญให้มากล่าวปาฐกถา
I'd like to honor the Spirit and Education movement.
ครับเสมสิกขาไหลนะครับที่เป็นเจ้าภาพ
And for the head of that movement and also INEB.
นะครับท่านประธานมูลที่ท่านผู้ก่อตั้งนะครับเครือข่ายพุทธศาสนิกเพื่อสังคมนะครับ INEB.
And my brother Sulak.
อาจารย์สุรักษ์นะครับ
In South Africa, we would say, sir, that you are a living ancestor.
living ancestor นะเป็นคนมรดกที่ยังมีชีวิตอยู่นะบรรพชนที่ยังมีชีวิตอยู่นะครับก็
And I thought I was going to meet Dr. Sem, but I hear he has already gone to the ancestors.
ก็ตอนแรกคิดว่าจะได้มาพบกับท่านอาจารย์เสมนะแต่ว่าก็ท่านก็เป็นบรรพชนไปแล้วนะครับ
But I'm happy to meet his second born son.
นะครับก็ยินดีที่จะเป็นที่ได้พบกับ
And of course it's wonderful to have my Ambassador Jeff Deutsch and his wife Carol here.
ท่านทูตและภริยานะครับ
And I came with my brother Moaketsi from Lesotho.
แล้วก็ท่านบาเดอร์นะฮะมาจากเลซูทูนะครับเป็นเพื่อนร่วมงานกัน
We are two brothers of different mothers.
ต่างแม่นะครับท่านบอกว่าเป็นลูกต่างแม่กันเท่านั้นเองกับท่านบาเดอร์เนี่ยนะ
I was very struck when my brother Mu was showing me around the campus on our way here.
ก็ท่านรู้สึกประทับใจนะตอนที่สมบูรณ์ตอนที่หมูพาเดินชมเนี่ยธรรมศาสตร์เนี่ยนะ
By seeing that field where students here were massacred in 1976.
นะครับได้เห็นสนามบอลนะซึ่งเป็นบริเวณที่ เกิดเหตุสังหารหมู่นักศึกษาเมื่อปี 2519 นะครับ
A turning point for the history of this nation.
ก็ถือว่าเป็นจุดเปลี่ยนทางประวัติศาสตร์ในประเทศนี้นะครับ
Just of course, as the ambassador referred, and you saw in the film, 76 was a turning point for our generation.
ตรงกันกับในแอฟริกาใต้ปี 2516 ที่ท่านทูตได้พูดถึงการสังหารหมู่ในมหาวิทยาลัยที่ 2519 นะในมหาวิทยาลัยที่แอฟริกาใต้
A turning point sealed in the blood of young people.
เป็นจุดเปลี่ยนที่เกิดจากเลือดเนื้อของเยาวชน
Who dreamed of a democratic, just, and inclusive society.
นะครับคนที่ใฝ่ฝันถึงสังคมประชาธิปไตยสังคมที่ทุกคนมีส่วนร่วม
And were wrongfully killed.
แล้วก็ถูกสังหารอย่างไม่ชอบนะครับ
And of course, it is for our generation to ask, what are we doing to honor those who paid the ultimate sacrifice?
คนในรุ่นของเราจะทำอะไรเพื่อตอบแทนกับการเสียสละของคนในรุ่นนั้นได้บ้าง
But I must say that I'm also deeply honored to be here at a memorial lecture in honor of Dr. Sem. I won't mispronounce his surname, so I'll just say, if I can be forgiven, Dr. Sem.
นะครับก็รู้สึกเป็นเกียรติที่ได้มาปาฐกถาเพื่อลำลึกถึงท่านศาสตราจารย์เสมพิงพวงแก้วนะแต่ท่านไม่ได้พูดนามสกุลนะหัวพูดไม่ชัด
And what a life he led.
นะเป็นชีวิตที่ยิ่งใหญ่
And my arithmetic is not very good, but if I understand correctly, he must have already been about 80 years old when he championed the response to HIV and AIDS.
ก็ท่านก็เป็นคนที่ทำงานมากนะในเรื่องของการต่อสู้เรื่องปัญหา HIV/AIDS นะ
Which was similar to Nelson Mandela.
คล้ายๆกันนะท่านเนลสันแมนเดลาก็มีบทบาทเรื่อง HIV/AIDS.
When as a country we were still in some ways in denial about HIV and AIDS.
นะครับตอนนั้นแอฟริกาใต้ซึ่งมีปัญหาเรื่องการระบาดของ HIV/AIDS มากก็ปฏิเสธนะปฏิเสธว่าไม่มี
And people would not even admit when people died that it was HIV and AIDS.
คนที่เสียชีวิตก็แทงว่าเหตุเสียชีวิตเพราะเหตุอื่นนะเพราะไม่กล้ายอมรับ
Nelson Mandela said, "My son died of AIDS."
แต่ท่านเนลสันแมนเดลาเป็นคนแรกๆที่บอกว่าลูกชายตัวเองลูกชายท่านเองเนี่ยเสียจาก HIV/AIDS
and championed the struggle in our land against that terrible pandemic.
นะครับแล้วก็เป็นผู้นำในการต่อสู้กับปัญหาการแพร่ระบาดของโลกนี้นะครับ
But let me return a little to my story to illustrate what I want to say to you today about healing of memories.
ครับอยากจะเล่าให้ฟังถึงชีวิตของท่านเองนะครับซึ่งสะท้อนให้เห็นแนวคิดของการเยียวยาความทรงจำ
As you saw in the film, and as the ambassador, the High Commissioner said, Ambassador, High Commissioner, Ambassador, I have to get the right country. You're High Commissioner in the last country. It was in April of 1990 that I received this letter bomb.
นะครับก็อย่างที่ได้เห็นในหนังและอย่างที่ท่านพูดได้กล่าวถึงนะครับเมื่อเดือนเมษายนนะครับปี 2533 นะเป็นเดือนที่ท่านได้รับจดหมายระเบิด
Of course, significant that the bomb was hidden inside the pages of 2 religious magazines.
เป็นระเบิดที่ถูกซ่อนมาในนิตยสารด้านศาสนา2 ฉบับ
A regime that called itself Christian used religious magazines to seek to kill a priest.
นะครับรัฐบาลซึ่งประกาศว่าเป็นรัฐบาลที่มีศาสนาส่งนิตยสารที่มีระเบิดเพื่อมาสังหารพระ
Now for the 14 years before the bomb went off, I was living in the countries of Southern Africa.
นะครับก่อนหน้านั้น14ปีก่อนหน้านั้นท่านอยู่ในประเทศที่อยู่ในแอฟริกาทางใต้นะครับ
First in the mountain kingdom of Lesotho and then in Zimbabwe.
นะครับอยู่มาทั้งที่เลโซโธอยู่มาทั้งที่ซิมบับเวนะครับ
But during those years, I traveled the world as part of the struggle against apartheid.
ในระหว่างนั้นท่านก็เดินสายรณรงค์ไปหลายประเทศทั่วโลกนะครับเพื่อต่อต้านลัทธิเหยียดผิว
And my task in the liberation movement was to seek to mobilize the